Good morning. Well, we got a big adventure ahead of us. We're taking this Ford Ranger. My son has a travel trailer in Arkansas. I don't know. Put in the comments how you pronounce that. And well, I got to tow it to Alabama, to Montgomery, and we're going to be using this Ford Ranger to do it. Yes, when we bought the travel trailer, we bought it with specs that this Ranger would be able to tow. So he doesn't have a truck. He has some type of Cadillac two door. No, it's a four-door sports car. Yeah, four-door sports car. I know. It's like a four-door Porsche. To go with my Rolex clock radio. So yep, we're taking the Ranger. We're going on a big adventure. I'm way down here in Texas, like South Texas, like way down in Texas, to where if I get a stone right now and throw it across that street, I'll probably hit Mexico. That's how far south we are. So it's going to take all day to go from one end of the state to go to the other end of the state, and then it'll take half a day to travel through about 6 states once they hit north. So north being Yankees out there, anywhere past San Antonio. That's north. So that's how far south I am. So, yep. And unfortunately, I won't be using a Gen Y hitch to tow, and I won't be using a Gen Y torsion hitch to tow either. It's a weight distribution hitch. Gen Y does make a weight distribution hitch. Unfortunately, at the price of I think it's $867 for this particular truck and setup with 2 inch, and only like a 6 inch drop, stuff like that. You can use it in drop or rise position. Well, I'm just gonna have to wait on that purchase. I will eventually get one, and it is a big torsion hitch. It's like the Mega Duty torsion they have, but unfortunately, we're not going to have that comfort in towing. We're just going to go old school and just good old fashioned weight distribution hitch. I'll be in touch, and I'll see you on the road. All right, we're going east of the Mississippi. I can't see when I'm filming, so I hope I'm getting something good. Ford Ranger killing it with the tow. All right, gotta see you. Bye-bye. I am in Montgomery, Alabama. I've driven this thing 450 miles, maybe 450, 500 miles, and with the Ford Ranger. And of course, I didn't have a Gen Y hitch, but I did use a weight distribution hitch. This thing's perfectly leveled. I'll put pictures up in the thing here for you, and I'll tell you about this tow later. I would have taken video while driving, and but I was driving with this big thing behind me. So I'll see you all in a little bit. Bye. Good morning. Well, I am not in Texas. We took this Ford Ranger, see behind me, and well, went a very long trip towing this Jayco behind me. All right, now I did not use a Gen Y hitch to do it. I have it attached right now, but I didn't use a Gen Y hitch. I used a proper weight distribution hitch for this thing, and I had this thing leveled just perfect. It was a little not the way I wanted at the scales, but I changed that a little bit. I didn't do a second reweigh. I just made my adjustments off the original weigh. So I just made my adjustment off of that. I did weigh this empty without the trailer. Well, not empty, but everything, all my gear. I came in as a big fatty on that scale, 4,900 pounds. That was jack stands, tools, drills, socket set, all that stuff that I needed maybe to work on my son's travel trailer, to check the brakes, bearings, and everything else before I took off on a big long trip. Especially check the brakes. Very important thing to do. I'm not going to go into how I set up the weight distribution other than I set it up perfect. I'll show it to you here in the pictures how that got set up, because it leveled just perfect. Everything was level. You can see the weights. I'm going to throw that in on a different page, but you can see with weights, I was a little bit heavy on the front. I thought too much weight on the front. I wanted a little bit more squat, so I put some squat into it. And after that, it drove beautifully down the road, 65, 70 miles per hour, no problem. But I had some big, strong crosswinds, and I noticed when I drove 65 miles an hour, I was sucking gas, man. It was sucking gas. Yes, when you tow something like this, it's a 5,000 pound sailboat. I've towed 7,000 pound boulders, and I'd rather tow the boulder any day. Just a big boulder, but this is a 5,000 pound sail. Big, catches everything, likes to swing real long. So it is a 28 footer, a little bit long, a little bit longer than what I'd like, but that's about the max for this Ford Ranger. But this isn't my old Ford Ranger. I've towed this same trailer with the old one and towed it with this one, worlds apart. The RAS suspension, the road active suspension, helped beautifully. It was just the road active suspension was beautiful on this thing. So loved it. The only thing that would have made it better would have been a Gen Y torsion hitch for the back, of course. That would have made it just beautiful. But I didn't have it. This thing is wider than the old Ranger, so I almost didn't need mirrors to put on the side. I used some clip-on mirrors that I put on there. They held up pretty well. Every gas station stop, every restroom or break I had down the road, I had to adjust them slightly because the wind did move them, but they worked great. So this Ranger is wider than the last one, and I almost didn't need those mirrors. Those mirrors gave me just 5 inches more than I needed to look up behind the trailer, to look up behind it and to the side to see if I was clear. It was great. Passenger side was hard to see around. The driver's side was beautiful. I could almost see behind the trailer on the driver's side, so that was really good. But it is a big, long trailer. The gas tanks were empty on it. This thing is about 600 pounds on the tongue, so I was going to put those tanks in here inside the trailer on the axle, but they were empty, so I just dealt with it. I did move all the cargo from jack stands, everything like that. I did move it into the trailer. So I did move it into the trailer, and that helped tremendously. That thing is better at towing, not so much cargo and tow. It's not a 350, it's a Ranger. 1,700 pounds, but with tongue weight being at about 600, and well, actually it was about 700, which is the max for the Ranger. And let's see what else. With the tongue weight being at about 700, I just wanted to take cargo off of the Ranger and put it in here, because it's better at towing, not carrying. Unless you're carrying and not towing, then by all means just go ahead and tow. It rained all night. We were originally in this little section over here, but we got rid of it. That's a big old hole right there. We were right there, and we moved over to here. They told us that all the lots were flooded, but they're not. So, okay, but other than that, this thing towed beautifully. As you can see, it's I don't even know what kind of, it's a J-flight something. No pull outs, no slide outs, nothing like that. It's my stepson's, but I towed from Little Rock, Arkansas, and Arkansas or Arkansas, whatever you want to call it. But that's where we went. And let's see here. We did have these mirrors. These are the mirrors I was talking about right there. They worked beautifully. Let me kind of show you what I did with them. All right, they used this strap that you see there. They just kind of went around like that, and that's how he drove. Drove down the road with that right there, and he adjusted it. And like I said, it was beautiful. I could see down the trailer. I could see down the trailer almost behind it. It was about like that I could see behind it. So that made it really good, and they were right here. So this Ranger is a little bit longer, and it is longer and it is wider, and I can definitely tell it's wider because compared to the old Ranger, these mirrors didn't help at all. You really needed those pull out type mirrors. There we go, now I'm in the picture. So yep, they worked beautifully. This Ranger is just wide enough to the Ranger is just wide enough to where those mirrors helped tremendously. It does make it kind of awkward though, because you look at the side of the mirror and you got two mirrors and you're trying to decide which one to look at. So after a while, once I left Arkansas, got to Tennessee, about the middle of Mississippi, I started to just automatically start going for that big tow mirror, and it worked out great. So big thing here, Ranger did beautifully. I got about 14 miles. Once I hit 60 miles an hour and just let it go. One thing I did do, I had to lock out 10th gear and 9th gear. You can do that when you have it in manual drive mode or regular drive mode, automatic drive mode. You can hit the negative button on the lever. Let me go show you. Okay, so when you have it in regular drive mode, as you can see right there, yeah, seat belts, we know. All right, all you do, you're driving down the road. Right there, see that? I'm hitting as you hit the minus button. Or you hit the plus button. It brings gear. So I drove like that. Because what I noticed is I did monitor with the USB thing that I have for the OBD2 sensor. I drove with this in the OBD2 port. Now here in my Android Auto, I really hope it's getting audio right now. Right here, car scan. It even pops up here on my Android Auto. Dashboard. Please connect your ECU first. Okay. You know what? Let me try to do that now. Okay, it's plugged in, connection. Let's see here, connect. Okay, oh, there we go. Maybe I don't need my phone. Okay, it says it's connected. All right. Dashboard. There we go. Information details, Android transmission. There we go. Shows your boost, coolant temp, transmission fluid temperature, and your cylinder head. I noticed that when I drove in regular drive and let this thing go into 9th gear, the way it wanted to in regular drive, the way the mapping for this truck are, that my boost was constantly at 8. No, not 8 psi, but at 8 boost. This is -8, so that means I'm not in the boost. But it was constantly at about, the boost was at 8, the coolant was about 210, cylinder head was about 260, transmission, it got hot as 210. And if I put it in 9th gear, higher RPMs, I saved more gas, cylinder head went down to 230, coolant temp went down to 200, Transmission 200, 205, boost about 2. So lots of times I did put it in regular manual, and that's how I drove up and down the hills. What would happen is if I had it in drive and I had those 2 gears gone, it would, once it hit 58, 57 miles per hour, then it would just automatically kick down to 7th gear while going up the hill. But if I did it in manual and I went through the gears myself, I knew the hill was coming, so I just went from 8th gear to 7th gear before I ever hit the hill. I could keep that constant speed, and then if I needed to, I'd just go down another one in 6th gear, and then I could go back to 7th, go back to 8th, and it was great. But the truck knew what to do. It just did it by itself. Yes, your RPMs went at about a little bit over 3,000. That's fine. And I noticed the higher RPMs I had, the less boost and the cooler temperatures I had. So that was different. The mapping on this, I do like the mapping of the old Ranger better than the mapping that they do with the transmission on this one. Oh, on a side note, people say that they want a standard truck so they can control the gears. There you go. I can control the gears. I can even take off in second if I want to. All right, just as a side note, that lots of people say they want a standard truck so they can control the gears and all that stuff. There you go. I can even take off in 2nd gear if I want. So that's pretty much what I did. Drove it like a standard truck. Changed it to the gear I wanted as I went up and down the hill. So I can still control my gears in an automatic truck. And I was getting about 10 10 high gear with lower gears running at 7th gear. I was getting 14 miles to the gallon. So big difference in MPG. High gear, RPMs low, I sucked a lot more gas. Of course, the turbo was going constantly all the time, never turned off. Cylinder head temp went up. Everything, all the temps just went up. High RPM, low boost, all temperatures came down, truck still had power. So, can't explain it to you. That's the one thing I didn't like. I think the older Ranger, I think it, for towing, seemed to be a little better than this one with the heavy loads. Of course, like I said, I've towed 7,000 pound cars, like this right here. Trailers 2, the cars 5. But this whole thing's a whole different ball game. Real long, big giant wall. I'm towing a big giant sailboat versus a boulder. Boulder I can do all day long, but this is a different animal. Well, gonna say goodbye to Alabama for now. I got a long trek down 65, I think, or something like that, 69 to 10 in the Ford Ranger. So I've already traveled 1,300 miles, and well, I'm gonna be going another 1,000 miles for sure back home. But one feature on this vehicle I will be using that I haven't ever used on it, and that's going to be eco mode. I used all this fuel and gas getting up here in regular sport mode, and then tow haul mode getting about 13, 14 miles to the gallon on this. Started off with 10 because I drove too fast, and slowed down to 60 and bumped it up to about 13, 14. So well, as always, I got my Gen Y accessories on here. The adjustable hitch and Gen Y step, and I do have the Gen Y torsion, but that's at the home. Don't have the Gen Y torsion for the weight distribution. Working on getting it though. Working on getting it. It's just a nice solid, lots of money, and until I get that lots of money, I won't get it. So, yep. Geese in the back. They've been at it all morning. Sun comes out here about 6 o'clock, but all morning. And as you can tell, it's foggy, so we're going to use fog lights. Something else I never hardly ever get to use. So I'll see you down the road. Well, for now, just looking at the world through a windshield. Here in Alabama, and some kind of delta down there. Lots of water. Oh, Mifflin Lake. I hope I got it, because I couldn't see what I was recording.
A little bit of mechanical stuff, not necessarily chassis stuff.
Alright, taking a scenic route here in Louisiana on I-10. Big old giant bridges going across the Gulf of America. And that is the road we're going down. Not bad, I like the view. Okay, I don't know if you can hear it, but I've been porpoising up and down these Louisiana roads for miles and miles. Here in Louisiana, I think this would be a good time for those Fox shocks with those reservoirs and all that stuff. It's like I'm ball hauling here on the blacktop or concrete top or whatever they got here in Louisiana. So I don't know, just interesting. My suspension is definitely getting a workout, and I thought Oklahoma was bad for roads. It's taken me a while to get out of Louisiana. Had some big slowdowns, some big wrecks. I didn't see the wrecks, otherwise I'd get them, but other than that, just another big bridge. Or another big river or something here. Hope I'm catching it in film, because I'm not quite looking at what I'm filming. I'm looking at the road. So just thought I'd let you know. Alright, I will talk to you all later again. Well, I finally made it home. I drove 2,100 miles. 500 of that being towing. So, Harlingen, Texas to Little Rock, Arkansas. Towing from Little Rock to Montgomery. Then towing from Montgomery, or no, I dropped off at Montgomery. Then going from Montgomery back home. So that was the trip, and this Ranger worked really well. I did something I've never done. I drove in eco mode. Yeah, I did notice a big difference. Thing took off super slow. Even though I can say when in Texas, I didn't drive at an eco mode speed. I drove at about 83 miles per hour. So that took away all the eco. So other than that, when I was driving in eco mode from Montgomery all the way to my sister's over near Beaumont, I was getting about 26. Well, at least that's what the computer said. 26 miles to the gallon. Overall, the Ranger, excellent vehicle, very capable. Yeah, I'm not going to drive that fast. I mean, that dog's annoying. So I'm not going to drive that fast. 60 miles an hour. It was a long trailer. Maybe if you had something smaller, 65. But 70, I want to go over 70. That's just me, my personal preference. I've towed my father's small little 15-foot covered trailer, and it looks like one of those U-Hauls, except for it's not a U-Haul, it's a private owned. You know, I've towed that at 70 with full furniture. You know, moving my kids and stuff back and forth, Austin and Houston, stuff like that. So that was past Rangers that I've done that. But other than that, this Ranger worked perfect. It towed great. Everything below south of I-10 in Louisiana, people drove very inconsiderate. Worst part of the trip, out of everything I drove, worst drivers, worst part of the trip. They drove like it was the Le Mans, 24 hours of Le Mans, and they didn't care. They were getting in the way, and then they'd take 5 minutes of road rage on somebody. I thought you were in a hurry. Be on your way. But horrible place. One place I'm never going to go visit, New Orleans. That place was just spoke to my sister about it. She says she's been there and the people are not nice. So hey, I don't know. It's just what I saw. I've never been there myself. Yeah, I just drove through it and the people drove like anyway. Getting off that soapbox, Ranger drove really good, really nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say. I did a little critiques to everything over there. Let's see what other things we do with this Ranger. Let's see what I'm towing or what I'm working with this week. Maybe I'll haul some junk. Maybe I'll go off road. Maybe I'll do something. So stay tuned. And well, sorry I couldn't bring you with me more in the trip. I'm doing lots of things like this after the fact. But when I was towing. I didn't have time to film. It does take a lot of concentration. You know, stopping distances, everything just gets much more. So other than that, I will see you. Thank you for sticking around for the video. Hit the like button, and I'll see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now we know why the dog's barking. How you doing, Penny?